my God, the bend and snap works every time.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of Good Times with Bad Movies. I'm Tim Morrison, joined by my wonderful co-host, Paul. Paul, how you doing?
Tim, I am tremendous today. I'm feeling tremendous. How are you today, sir?
Oh, I'm awesome. Really excited to talk about this movie. This week, we decided to do Legally Blonde. Came out in 2001 in the summer, directed by Robert Ludick, and distributed by MGM. So, have you seen this movie before, Paul?
Yes, I have seen this movie a couple of times, Tim. Actually, spoiler alert, I've seen this movie a lot of times as a kid growing up.
Oh, wow. Okay.
For whatever reason, when it came out in like 2001, for whatever reason, between me and my group of friends, just really liked this movie. I mean, I had a crush on Reese Witherspoon as well. But I loved this movie. It's a fun movie. It's a really fun movie, Tim.
Yeah, I never realized how popular this movie actually is. Quite a few of my friends at a party a few weeks ago recommended this movie, and I've never seen it, and they all basically said the same thing that you just said. So I decided to watch it for the first time, and I thought it was definitely a fun movie. I guess I'll wait and save my opinion for later on. So for anyone who hasn't seen this movie, here's the basic premise. When dazzling LA sorority girl Elle Woods gets dumped by her snobby boyfriend, she decides to win him back by following him to Harvard Law School.
I hadn't seen this for, I guess since like probably 2001 when, I just burned it up that one summer with my buddies. It's so weird. But the point is, so I haven't seen this movie in whatever that is. That's like almost 20 years. I thought this was a ridiculous premise, but apparently it's kind of based on real life.
It is. This is based on a book that was inspired by true events by the author that wrote the book. So she went to Harvard School and experienced a few things that were actually in this movie. Just a few things. I mean, from what I read, there was only one thing that actually stood out that happened at law school with her when she went, but yeah, we'll get to that one.
I guess it wasn't she was teaching people how to bend and snap in 1993.
No.
Okay, I can't wait to get to there. Yeah, there is quite the cult of Legally Blonde fans out there. I didn't realize how big this movie was. I mean, like at the time, it seemed kind of big, but even now, how much people still love that movie, and that there's been sequels to it.
Yes, I think there's one sequel, and there's talks of a third one coming out very soon.
Yeah, I think Netflix or something is supposed to put out the next one. Just like there's like going to be a He's All That. So it's just, we picked another movie that's coming back in style here. We're just ahead of the curve here on Good Times with Bad Movies.
But yeah, this is an interesting story.
Yeah, I really like this movie. It's a fun movie. If you analyze this critically, none of this would ever happen in a million years. But I mean, we'll get to all that stuff. But it's just a really fun movie, kind of a bad movie, but this is a good time. Absolutely.
Yeah, I think it's fair to consider it a bad movie because the way I go on my scale of things, if it's under a 6.5 rating on IMDb, then I think you can call it a bad movie.
Really? It's got that low of a rating on IMDb? I figured like people would have been voting the hell out of this, been like, I love that movie.
The sequel's even lower.
Really? Really? Did you know that they made there's a musical? A Legally Blonde musical.
No.
I swear to God, it's on Broadway. My wife told me. I didn't know that.
Okay.
There's a Legally Blonde musical. I'm assuming there's a bend and snap dance number in there too. So,
there's probably an
works
entire.
Every time.
I bet you that's probably a 15-minute segment in the musical Broadway. Like that's probably why everyone would go to see it.
Yeah, there's a lot I want to talk about there because, anyways.
Well, I think we should probably get into it.
I think that is a fantastic idea, Tim. Let's just start talking about Legally Blonde.
So this movie starts right after the MGM lion roars 3 times, and we immediately go into some like Avril Lavigne type of rock.
Yeah, this is a good song though. Okay, maybe you don't think it's a good song, but I kind of like this song, and it's pretty catchy, and it's been stuck in my head for a week now, maybe a little bit longer. I love this thing.
It's a perfect day.
Nothing's gonna take my way on a perfect day. Yeah, it's awesome. And they're just kind of like, they're just going through this cool sorority where everyone's hanging out. The grass is amazing. Everyone's partying. Lots of young people just hanging out, getting lit, hooting and hollering at each other around.
So we see clips of Elle Woods, played by Reese Witherspoon, and she seems to be just getting ready for her day. And according to the music, it's going to be a perfect day. And we also see clips of this other random girl on a bike who has she has a big pink letter, a card, and she's taking it around to all these different sorority houses and frat houses and stuff for everyone to sign on her way to deliver it to Elle.
Nice little Herbal Essence product placement in there. There's partying like, yeah, we're signing a card. It's amazing.
This card that they're passing around for Elle is to celebrate a potential engagement tonight because Elle is going out with her boyfriend Warner later on this evening, and she is sure that he is going to propose to her. They're assuming this because I think his mother flew in or something like that, and they're like, well, obviously she's bringing a diamond ring because you could just mail it. So that's why they assume that he is going to propose to her tonight.
Yes, yeah, it was his grandmother that came in,
right?
And because he's part of some very well-to-do sort of blue blood lineage family. They're a very well-respected family somewhere along the line, and obviously very wealthy. And it looks like he's going to go off to Harvard Law School soon too, as well. And she's very excited because she's looking forward to this big bright future on this perfect day. What is she in school for right now? Do they say that? Is it like fashion or what is this? Arts?
She has a major in fashion. And what exactly she's doing with that as a career, I don't know. But she's very good at it. I know that much.
I guess so. Yeah, she's very fashion savvy. Like she knows all the like the brands and stuff like that, because you see in the next scene where she's going to some fancy store to get a dress for this engagement that she thinks is coming up here. And this lady basically tries to rip her off. And she comes over with the dress. And this girl's just like, check this out. This just came in. Meanwhile, it's last year's dress. It is not in vogue. No. And she comes over and she's like, check this out. We just got this in. And she sort of asks her a bunch of questions. She's like, oh, is it like this kind of fabric with this kind of stitching on it? She's like, absolutely. And she goes, yeah, that's not true, because this kind of stitching would rip this kind of fabric. And that's last year's, lady. So you can take that trash out. Sorry. I love this movie. This is a great movie. She's just like, get out of my face. I know what I'm talking about. I'm not stupid. You'll see in this movie too, even though Elle seems like she's, I would say, I guess, naive, or she seems like she's portrayed as clueless or naive. She's really, she seems like a very fast learner and kind of street smart, and also not naive or clueless at the same time. So it's a very complex character.
Yeah, it goes back and forth a little bit.
Yeah, the onion of Elle. You're just peeling off different layers here that I don't know what we're looking at, really. And it's but this is really fun talking about all this stuff.
Also, by the way, Elle, wherever she goes, is always in company with her little Chihuahua dog named Bruiser.
Is he the Taco Bell dog?
No, but he lives with the Taco Bell dog.
I didn't know that. That's cool. That's a cool little fact there. Okay, fair enough. Right on. Yo quiero Taco Bell.
We're finally at nighttime, and Warner is showing up to take Ellie out. And the first thing that I noticed is that when they open the door, it's probably, I don't know, I'm going to assume it's like 10 o'clock at night or something. It's dark outside. And he's wearing some heavy shaded sunglasses. One thing this movie does is, like, you can tell the personality of what a character is just by looking at him. Like, before he even speaks, you're probably thinking in your head, man, this guy kind of looks like a jerk.
Yeah, he is a slick douchebag is what it looks like.
Warner takes Elle to this really nice restaurant, and it looks very romantic, and they sit down, and, you know, she's with unbridled joy right now because she thinks she's about to get proposed to, and Warner tells her that he brought her here tonight because he wants to talk about their future. And the way he goes about it is hilarious. because he's being really nice and kind of romantic, I guess. Or he's like, we've had, all the lovely times we've had together. It's been so great. And she's like, yeah, yeah. And he's like, well, Pooh Bear, because that's what he calls her, Pooh Bear. He says, I think we should. And as soon as he's about to finish his sentence, she goes, I do. And he says, I think we should break up. So, and he's like grinning from ear to ear too. He's completely insensitive.
He's a sociopath. He's smiling, just like, I think we should break up. How, what kind of jerk does that? Just smiles at you while they're because she's on it again in this movie. We know that Elle is the star of the movie. She's the protagonist. So it's all centered around her, but she's a very lovely person. So this guy is just like super malicious and like, you're not that serious. See you later. JK.
She's freaking out and she says, is it my boobs? You don't like my boobs? And like everybody's like staring at her. Then he tells her, he's like, no, honey, your boobs are fine. And then he says, I need more of a Jackie as opposed to a Marilyn. And I think he's referring to like he wants to be a senator married to someone like Jackie Kennedy as opposed to Marilyn Monroe. So, yeah, he says that he's got to stop dicking around. And and she's like, what do you mean? So we've just been dicking around this whole time? And, rightfully, she's upset. And then she starts to cry. And I need to share this with you so you know what it sounds like when Elle Wood cries.
And he just got engaged to a Vanderbilt, for Christ's sake.
Sweetie. I like the seal noise.
Causing the biggest scene in this restaurant. Everybody just turning around. I mean, you know what? The guy deserves the embarrassment anyways, because he's kind of a dick. Well, he's a pretty big dick, but, that was just like, that would be really embarrassing. So Elle is heartbroken, and she goes home. The next day, her friends knock on her dorm room, and they do what any good friend would do. They take her to get her nails done. So she's out getting her nails done with the girls, and she's flipping through a magazine here, and she sees Warner's brother is in this magazine, and he is married, or he is getting married. He's engaged to this girl, and she's also a very well-to-do woman. And what happens is sort of this light bulb goes off in Elle's head, and she goes, this is what I need to do. This is what Warner is looking for. And this is the reason for this whole movie. She goes, I am going to go to law school. But before she kind of gets to that realization, the very nice lady beside her sort of comments on the woman in the magazine. And we just want to play you a little clip so you can kind of hear what the line is in this movie.
This is the type of girl that Warner wants to marry. This is what I need to become to be serious.
What? Practically deformed?
Practically deformed? And I gotta say that the picture of this girl, I don't think she looks deformed because she had a lot of plastic surgery. I mean, I guess maybe she did, but I don't know.
I don't want to rip on anybody's appearance. I'm not the best looking guy, but it's a pretty funny line.
There's another thing with this scene. When they're all getting their nails done, Elle is not getting her nails done. She's just sitting there looking through magazines, like you said, beside that old lady who dissed the girl. All of her friends are just talking about how pathetic Elle is, like wide open, that they can all hear, like that she like hasn't cut her nails in weeks. She smells bad, and she hasn't used hair conditioner in 5 days, and they just think she's going downhill. And she's just like sitting there. Like, these are really crappy friends.
I think they're more concerned for their friend. It's like I guess this is more their high maintenance concerns. It's like if your friend was just like, man, Jimmy hasn't changed in like 3 days, and I'm pretty sure he hasn't bathed either, and he looks really bad and he hasn't shaved. Like, you for them, it's that high end, unkempt sort of thing. She's not disheveled, but maybe she's got split ends. I don't know. Maybe she got split ends. I don't know how this all works.
Yeah. So the next day, she is swimming in the pool outside of this giant mansion, And her father comes over in a polo shirt, and he's, they're just talking, and she's like, Dad, I think I know what I'm going to do now for a career move. And he's like, what's that? She goes, I'm going to go to Harvard and be a law student. And her mother's like, honey, why do you want to do that? And in a roundabout way, they basically just say, you're stupid. Like you're not smart enough to go to law school. And I think they even reference some kind of a young beauty pageant that she won in some random community. And they're like, why would you throw all that away?
Yeah, I think the idea is that it seems like no one apparently believes in Elle in this movie, right? Warner doesn't believe in her. Apparently her parents don't believe in her, which is kind of, but I mean, to be fair, if this person who has spent their entire time just doing fashion stuff, doing beauty pageants, just being a sorority, leader, this entire time and putting on little shows and stuff like that, if they came to you and were like, I want to go to law school, you probably wouldn't take them very seriously. I would think, right? Because even when she goes to the registrar's office and they're like, I want to enroll in Harvard Law School, the lady looks at her stuff and she's like, dude, you've got history of plaid down here or something like that. Whatever it was, some fashion thing on there that you've done. So this is what I don't understand either. Somehow, because Harvard Law School seems like a very elite law school.
I would think so, yeah.
You know what's incredible too? I thought about this afterward. Do you know what? I Googled this. Do you know what the tuition is for 1 year of Harvard Law?
Oh gosh, 100,000 or so, 130,000.
It's about 104,000, I think, is what I saw on Harvard EDU. Yeah, so it's just over 100 grand for 1 year. 1 year, this girl is just gonna go on a whim, and they're like, "Mumsy, are you sure you want to do that? Why don't you take out the Rolls Royce or whatever and go skydiving with Aaron Spelling's kids or something?" I don't know what these people are doing, but no, she's like, "I'm gonna go to law school," and they're like, "Okay, that's no problem," and they just go and give her 6 gold bars, and she walks out the house.
So after that, we cut to this video that Elle has produced, this video essay that she produced for Harvard so that she would be considered. And it starts off with her in a bikini in a hot tub outdoors. And to me, it kind of seems a little bit seductive.
Yeah, I mean, we're going to see in about a few minutes at the end of this little montage that it's a bunch of old, creepy, bald white dudes in a little room who seem like they're the head of admissions. So I don't know if she was intentionally playing to this crowd or not. It kind of seems like it. This is also a very weird admission tape to send into people. You'd think you'd have to do an essay that's 10 pages or something, but apparently they're going to let you submit a little vlog of you talking for 5 minutes or something.
Yeah, and she says things like, I make important decisions all the time. And it shows a clip of her deciding to use Charmin toilet paper instead of generic toilet paper. She likes to use law terms, like she's walking down the street and someone whistles at her or something like that, kind of cat calls her, and she turns around and says, I object. You mentioned a little bit ago, is she smart? Is she supposed to be smart or is she supposed to be dumb? Because this video is dumb. There's absolutely no arguing just how aloof that's why it's funny, right? Because it makes no sense as far as a video essay for Harvard.
So this is what I don't understand. So apparently Elle is in, assuming university. She's the head of her sorority somewhere. But they don't really make it seem like it's the end of the year or that they've graduated or anything. Because is she still hanging around the other, is she supposed to be hanging around this university for another year, taking another year of whatever fashion or buttons or whatever she's doing? Is that what's supposed to be happening? But then she just decides to go into law school in the last second, because they don't really say where they are and if anyone's graduated. But it seems like this guy is moving on to law school. So it's the end of the year, but they were just hanging out at they live at the dorm, it seems like.
Really, I don't think there's any kind of passage of time identified in this movie at all, because throughout this entire movie, I don't really know how much time has passed. From beginning to end, it seems like this happened over a few weeks, but then it probably should have happened over the course of a year. And that doesn't seem like that happened either. So I don't really know. It seems like they just don't really identify how much time it takes to do anything in this movie. You just say, okay, I'm going to do it. And then it happens.
Yeah. I mean, somehow this lady, again, not to belittle her and not to belittle people in fashion. I'm glad you're doing it and you're following your passion and all that stuff. But she just knows like Vogue and stuff like that. So I don't see how she's going to be able to cram her brains with all this information about legal stuff to pass a basic legal exam and get 170 points out of God knows whatever you need. You know? Like, this seems like a lot of stuff to do. So that's what I mean. Again, she seems kind of ditzy, but she's almost got, it seems like a photographic memory, because she's just, this whole montage is just her studying, and she gets like a 140 something, and then it slowly goes up and gets better, and eventually her friends come in at the end and they tell her that she's passed and she's got a 170. So she's got this mark now, and she's gonna at least apply to Harvard Law, and it's at least the second part of what she needs to get to Harvard Law, I should say. So I don't. Is this lady dumb? Is she smart? I don't know. You decide.
Now we're in the boardroom here of, like, I guess some Harvard executives or recruitment team, who are a bunch of older bald men in suits. They just paused her admission video on the part where she is in the hot tub with her bikini on. They're basically, without actually saying it, and just in another roundabout way, that they want to accept her because she is absolutely hot in this video. And they're throwing ridiculous reasons at the wall as to why they should, like, to qualify why they should accept her. That she made a certain kind of panties for a benefit at her sorority house.
Like an anti-fur thing. Yeah, that's right.
Faux fur.
And she's, an animal lover, and she gives back to her community. That's what it sounds like. She's just doing her best. And it's going to enrich the culture at Harvard to have someone around who cares like that, That's what I think, Tim.
And the guy's just like, well, welcome to Harvard. Like, as if there's just no other option.
Can you imagine that? That's how easy it is to get into Harvard. Just like 4 weeks before, you just sit in a hot tub with your bathing suit on, and you just write an exam somehow and get in. That's amazing. That's amazing. Good for you, Elle. And it's more incredible that her parents just have the $100K to throw down on a whim. They're like, all right, we were going to go buy a helicopter, but if you want to go hang out at Harvard Law for a few months, it's like kind of a vacation. But that's what happens. So there's her and her Porsche and a moving truck are showing up to Harvard Law, and she's basically bringing her entire sorority house furniture with her.
Everyone's just like starts gathering around to make fun of her. Like, for no reason.
Yeah.
Like, all of these random people that we haven't met, they just stop because, she does stand out quite a bit because the majority of this movie, she's wearing pink and nobody else is wearing pink. So she stands out in that way. And there also doesn't seem to be many other blondes at all in this movie. So in that way, she also stands out. Like, and it's almost like a trope, I guess, maybe with this movie, that like a trope that they made up, that there's no blondes at Harvard. These
people are like, they're kind of nerds. They're all preppy nerds. That's what they are. Okay. They all look like preppy nerds. But somehow she shows up just like a rocket, a total dime piece, and just in a Porsche. She's got her little treadmill with the ribbon on it, and everyone's like, what a loser. Hello, McFly. Hello. Are you serious? What is going on in this movie? This is a weird alternate reality.
You know what's funny about that is, like, the whole premise of this movie is based on kind of, not buying into stereotypes and treating everyone the same regardless of what they look like, kind of thing, right? But this movie's also based on using all of that to, like, drive the story.
Yeah, absolutely.
Everyone, there's no blondes at Harvard. They're all pretty, like you just said, they're all kind of like geeks. They don't socialize very well. Everything that she's blonde, so everything that she's wearing is pink. She has a small dog, just like Paris Hilton. I was actually wondering, what came first? Paris Hilton with the small dog or Legally Blonde? Probably Legally Blonde.
I think so. I don't know. But Paris Hilton, that's pretty early too. I don't know. I maybe around this time she was out there throwing up on people and whatever. But I was just going to say, so I also wanted this too. How similar is the screenplay to the original novel that inspired this? Because it sounds, if this lady wrote this book, from the sounds of it, it sounds like she is awesome and everybody is terrible. And she is super smart and super beautiful and this self-taught amazing, basically, I don't know, this like savant, you know? So I really want to read part of the book now because I want to see I showed up at Harvard and everybody was mean to me and I was so beautiful and awesome that day, guys. You should have seen me. And then it's like that's what I think. That's what to me this book reads like right now.
I'm just as curious now though, because if these scenes are written in the book, it would be fun to read it and to see what that sounds like, because I don't know how this really works, but there's tons of people sitting in little circles around the courtyard and stuff. And she sits down with these 3 or 4 other people. And this is the first time for all of them meeting each other. So they decide to say their names and say something about themselves. So this one guy named David Kidney.
Yes.
Kidney. These names in these movies are so hilarious. He was recently deworming orphans in Somalia.
He looks like Will Ferrell with like a really weird sort of like Lloyd Christmas haircut.
This one girl says that she is with lesbians against drunk driving.
Lad instead of mad.
I looked that up. That is something on Facebook.
So, it's just a Facebook group. Okay.
I don't really know much about it. It might have been inspired by the movie, or I have no idea.
You know what? Everybody should oppose drunk driving. I support those lesbians. Don't drink and drive, folks. This is your PSA.
And another guy claims that he came up with a time relevance theory, and Stephen Hawking stole it from him. So yeah, that's what these 3 characters are.
To me, this seems like these people are supposed to be really smart, other than the first guy who was deworming kids with the backpack. I don't know what his deal is, but everybody else seems like they're really, really smart, or they seem intelligent. They have that air of that confidence and stuff around them. So I don't see. I guess this is supposed to be a juxtaposition of like people that have their stuff together, and this girl who showed up with little fuzzy pink pens or something. I don't know. I think that's the whole breakdown there.
One of her things that she says about herself is that she talked Cameron Diaz out of buying an Angora sweater. I don't even know what that is. And she makes some kind of comment that it's orange, and orange is not good.
Orange makes you look like a pylon. You know, don't wear orange unless it's, I don't know. I don't know. What am I? I'm not giving fashion tips here. What the hell I'm wearing?
Yeah. So I do want to comment on her next outfit that she has on here in the next scene, because she's getting ready to go to school. And for a second, like, she's standing in the mirror in her room, and I thought she was getting ready for bed, because to me, what she's wearing initially looks like a house coat. It looks like something Hugh Hefner would wear.
Yeah. It's like a smoker's jacket or something.
Yeah. But she's got the tie on underneath. So then I realized, okay, she's going to class, not bed. So she's going to class, and as she's walking down the hall, she notices Warner, her ex-boyfriend, is like looking at the bulletin board, I think checking out when his class starts or something like that. Elle goes up to him and is just like, "Oh, hey, what are you doing here?" And just kind of awkwardly plays as if this is just normal. And I kind of felt like this was a little bit like creepy, wasn't it?
This is definitely, I would call this a stalker move at the very least. That's what this is. So I do have a couple issues with the character of Elle. I think I'd like to get into that maybe later on. I'll bring some of those up once we're a little bit further into the story. But I do think that that's weird, right? As this person's supposed to be the protagonist in this movie, we're supposed to be rooting for her, and she's going literally the other side of the country to stalk this guy. I mean, and he's a dick too, but I mean, that's part of the story, but you know, there you go. So now Elle is in law class here, and it looks like she's in the same class as her ex-boyfriend, Warner, and her teacher is a real hard ass. And her teacher is just kind of asking people questions and grilling them a little bit, and Elle's sitting there writing notes. And eventually the teacher asks them about a case, this Gordon v. Steele, I believe it is. And so she sees Elle isn't paying attention, sitting there smiling, writing away with a little pink, little fuzzy pen or whatever. And so she goes over to her and she asks her, and she says, you know, "Have you read the assignment?" And she says, "I didn't know there was an assignment. This is like day one." And so basically she sort of saunters to the back of the class, and she looks at another lady who's in there. She's kind of smiling away, smirking, looking all, arrogant and all. And she asks her, and she says, "Hey, do you think this lady should stay in the class and she hasn't done the reading?" And the girl goes, "You know what? no, I think you should get rid of her. So the teacher turns back to her and says, GTFO. And Elle kind of runs out of there. She's all in a huff. And she sits down on a park bench. And she sits down beside, to me, one of the weirdest love interests you could have in a movie here. Luke Wilson. It's Owen Wilson's brother. Wow.
Yeah. You know what's funny about this?
Wow.
They wrote this movie with specifically Luke Wilson in mind to play this part.
That's a lie. I'm sorry. No one writes a movie and they're like, you know who'd be good in this? Luke Wilson.
No, that's true.
Luke Wilson is not, to me, I don't know. This is just me. Again, you know what? I'll say this. My wife said she thought he was hot. I'm like, I don't get it. This guy looks like a nerd. But this doesn't look like the guy you would want to be the leading man in a movie. This wouldn't be the main love interest in my vision.
No, he's a friend. He's like someone's good. He's like someone's best friend in a movie.
Yes. Yeah, no, like you got to just know your role. Stay in your lane, Luke Wilson.
So they're out in the courtyard now, and Luke Wilson and her are kind of flirting together. We don't really know why Luke Wilson is there. I assume at this point that he is a student. Anyways, Warner comes out, and they're kind of awkwardly talking for a moment until Warner's new girlfriend comes up, and she is the person that recommended that Elle be kicked out of class there earlier.
Bitch.
Yeah, so we'll say over the summer, maybe at the most, again, like how much time has passed. He dumped her because he was leaving for college or university. Then when she follows him to university, he's engaged to another girl.
Well, so this is what I think happens. This is also why this guy Warner is even more of a scumbag, because if you remember at the beginning, we were notified, sort of, it was a little by the way, that Elle was excited because the grandmother was in town, right? And then we fast forward now, and what happens is he says is that she met him when his grandmother was in town in the summertime. And that's why the lady had the rock. So he proposed to this girl when he was still dating this girl. That's what happened.
Okay.
That's at least he had the ring then to me. So this guy was, at least, if he wasn't cheating on her, he was right in that line. He was just like, I don't know.
Okay, that's good. Yeah, I didn't quite catch that. All right.
Yeah, he's a greasy individual. I don't think he's a very nice man.
No, not at all. But she still wants to be with him. And I kind of feel bad for, so this new girl that he's with, she's kind of pitted as an antagonist here at the beginning. And I'm like, I kind of don't blame her for feeling like a little bit threatened. Like his ex-girlfriend just showed up at Harvard out of nowhere and is in the same class with them. That's awkward.
Yeah, that's the thing. We don't know what the relationship is or how much knowledge this other girl had, which I'm pretty sure her name is Vivian, but we don't really know how much knowledge that Vivian has about Elle prior to any of this. Does she know that she existed? Did they dated? Were they dating at the time? And she was just like, did she steal him away? We don't know any of that stuff yet. So all you know is that she is just showing up here kind of blindsided that this other girl, again, just like a 10 out of 10 shows up out of nowhere, stalking your boyfriend at Harvard Law School. If this wasn't Legally Blonde, this is like The Hand That Rocked the Cradle or The Crush. There's like one of these movies, that's what you're in, like a stalker movie. On this perfect day, gonna stab you in my way.
So Elle is still quite upset because now she's found out that, he probably was cheating on her. And she goes to the nearest hair salon.
Yeah, and she almost gets into a car. Well, she pretty much gets into a car accident.
An off-screen car accident,
cars. Yeah, piles up like 4 cars in front and just runs inside. Meanwhile, probably someone's hanging outside the window of this car. They're dead because she just decided to pull a U-turn. But again, you think about that, right? This lady's stalking people and just caused a car accident with complete reckless abandon. Didn't even turn around to call 911 and just walks away. On this perfect day. It's this like
nothing's gonna get in her way.
Yeah, like this could be a complete stalker movie. Maybe that's what this is. Maybe this is all tongue in cheek. I don't know. Maybe this is a whole other meta level.
Maybe like a trailer recut as a horror movie.
That's a great idea. I think if we don't do that, someone else better do that. Damn it.
Mm. So the person here that does her nails is, I guess, most famously known as Stifler's mom.
That's right. It's Stifler's mom. That's amazing. So how many people have we watched movies with in the American Pie cast now? It seems like quite a few. We just got to find like a Eugene Levy movie. And Jason Biggs, the pie guy.
Yeah, the pie guy.
Gross.
He never recovered from that pie.
Well, yeah, it's unfortunate.
I mean, he's still around, but he's not really.
He did it for comedy, and well, I mean, obviously he didn't do it, but you know, somehow it's weird that you stick your penis in one pie, and that just torpedoes your career in Hollywood.
Yeah.
How does that work? Sorry. Go ahead.
So this character doing her nails, doing Elle's nails, is a little bit down on herself and kind of complains because she feels as though she's fat and has too many stretch marks. And if Elle can't find a guy, then nobody can. So Elle is trying to kind of pick her up a little bit and compliments her. And then this UPS guy comes in, and this girl just kind of freaks out a little bit because she's got a major crush on this handsome UPS guy. And Elle kind of gives her some encouragement, and they part ways.
So the next day, we're back in another law class. God knows what this one is. Maybe this is a different type of law, or I don't even know. But the teacher looks like he is a partner at a law firm, or he's somebody important at a law firm, it seems like. I don't really think they go into a huge amount of detail, but the point is he's going to have some internship spots coming up. And I think he's got about 4 spots they're going to have, and it's very highly sought after. And you can see that Warner wants it, Vivian wants it, and so does Elle.
Elle is really down on herself now because Vivian has been spreading rumors that Elle has been saying nasty things about her classmates. And therefore, none of her classmates want to be in a group with her. So she goes home to her dorm and then calls her friends back home. And they're just kind of like unhinged with excitement because one of them is getting married. And they're just like bragging to her, completely insensitive as to what she's going through.
Yeah, it's weird though, because she's getting fitted for a dress at this point. So don't you think they would have called Elle? Like, they're supposed to be BFFs here. Like, if you got married, or you're getting engaged, that's a pretty big thing. You don't just call your friend like 5 months later and be like, guess what? I'm getting married. I'm putting on a dress. Like, that seems like a weird move. So maybe Elle is completely toxic, and maybe this weird perfect day world is built up in her head. And we're just watching this through the eyes of a psychopath.
Yeah. So she goes out in the hall because she hears Vivian out there and passing out invitations to a party later on. And she gives an invitation to Elle and tells Elle that it's a costume party. And Elle is just like, awesome. I love costume parties.
Yeah, that's right. And Elle shows up. Elle shows up in, this is probably a big contributing factor to why I had a crush on Elle at about whatever it was, 12 years old or something. It's just like, she is wearing a Playboy bunny outfit, it looks like. Just like, wow.
It's like what you'd expect the waitresses at the Playboy Mansion to wear.
Yeah, think about this earlier. About 10 minutes ago, we saw her in the Hugh Hefner jacket. So now she's just like, it's like she's got some weird sort of Playboy wardrobe collection going on here. I don't know. She seems a little more scandalous than meets the eye, you know?
So she's obviously, she stands out. Everyone's staring at her and like, oh my God, what are you doing? And Elle stands up for herself and she owns it. She walks around and still mingles with people.
That's right. Slay Queen.
Yeah. So here's one thing that is directly from the author of Legally Blonde, something directly from her experience at Harvard. So this happens as Elle is walking into a room and you overhear a conversation.
Which it is all about subliminal domination. I mean, take the word semester, okay? This is a perfect example of this school's discriminatory preference of semen to ovaries. That's why I'm petitioning to have next term be referred to as the winter ovester.
Excuse me. Hey, Warner.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
So when the author went to Harvard, there was a person there, a girl who had been petitioning for 6 years to change the name semester to, what did she say? Omester? Ovester? Ovester, yes.
The lady has taken that a little too literal, I think.
So there's something in this movie that was lifted right from real life.
That's insane because it's semester, not semenster. You know? So I could just go off on that for a bit, but that seems.
You're right. It seems a little bit reaching to me too.
Yeah, I appreciate that she's got a cause, but like really, that's what you're gonna do with your
Right.
6 years? So she's been at law school for 6 years every year, been like, I'm not leaving, damn it. You're changing this thing. She's like the Wolf of Wall Street. They're like, get the hell out of here. I'm not fucking leaving. Oh, faster. So after this interesting conversation that Elle overhears, it's incredibly brave and powerful. She kind of interrupts and she sees Warner, and the whole point of this is she sort of comes to realization here that whatever she does is not really going to work, right? She sort of says to him, like, and she sort of says it out loud that she realizes that she's never going to be good enough for this guy because she doesn't check off all the right boxes. She's not from the right family. She's not, I guess, maybe not worth the right amount of money, even though she's really rich. It's very weird.
He totally says that she's not smart enough.
Yeah, right. But it's like, dude, she just got into Harvard Law on a whim. That says something about this woman, at the very least. You know, even if this is a movie, like, come on, you're kind of smart.
They're in the same class.
Yeah,
they're like, literally in the same class.
Yeah, dummy. Think about that. This guy, what a dork. But so she's heartbroken and she leaves.
That lights a fire under Elle, and now she wants to prove him wrong. And now we go to a montage with some your dollar store Britney Spears music and a little bit of a commercial as well for like some items like a MacBook, Apple product, and Igloo. That's like a different kind of software. There's a few different commercials in this movie, ads.
Yeah, there's a lot of product placement in this for sure. And it's like, just looking at her old Mac, I'm like, I remember when that thing used to be like, you're like, oh, that's such a cool Mac. And it's like, now what a piece of it's incredible how much we've gone through this movie. And you know what's weird too is maybe it's not weird, but her dog is watching, is it the Taco Bell dog on the TV or something? That's got to be a nod towards that dog, right? They're like, yo, that's your brother, right? It seems like it.
I think that's why they did it. At first, I thought it was a product placement, but maybe it's a little bit of both. It's a product placement, and it's like, hey, little buddy, you live with him at home.
That's right. But, you know, the dog's watching Taco Bell, and she's on the treadmill studying, and she's just kicking ass right now.
It's an inside joke for the dog.
It could be. Yeah, I think you're right. I think it's a little Easter egg being like, isn't it your buddy? Yeah.
So through this, we see a clip of her in class and she answers a question. And like, it's funny, all of these, anytime they're in class, a lot of this stuff is just so like plain jargon. Like they're just throwing out your basic terms that you've probably heard on Law and Order and act like they're like having a serious, frank discussion about something.
Yeah. And she's taken Paulette to this weird trailer park junkyard thing because poor Paulette wants to get her dog back. And it looks like Ella's going to help her out and pretend to be her lawyer and sort of strong arm this guy into giving Paulette her dog back. And so this was something that I really didn't understand. So maybe you can help me here. She's done the law exam. So she got a 174 on her LSATs, right? In this scene here, when she is talking to this guy and she's just throwing out a bunch of legal jargon here, she really doesn't know what half of this stuff means. You can just tell by the way she's just saying stuff. She's just making up sentences and throwing in like habeas corpus and stuff. And habeas corpus just basically means that you have the right to be in front of a judge and have like a trial. And like just using like stuff like this, she doesn't know what the hell it means. So I'm wondering, how did she pass an exam that is basically catered? It's not basically, it is. It's an LSAT. It's about law. You would presumably have law questions and definitions, and you'd have to look stuff up, and there'd be legal jargon. If you don't know what any of these words mean, right? Like, how are you in Harvard Law, and how are you excelling at any of this right now?
Even Luke Wilson is recommending that she be chosen for an internship.
That's right. He's also like, wow.
Yeah, because we come to find out Luke Wilson's actually he's more of a scout that kind of just hangs around the campus and just hangs out in classrooms and stuff to see who might be good for an internship. I don't know.
He's like an associate for this guy, for his law teacher. And, so I think he works at the law firm, but he's probably like a TA or something at this university as well, too. He's helping him out with his studies there as well. I don't really know how all this works. I'm not in the law game.
So Elle is going to have a really shining moment here in class that's going to land her a spot for an internship on the real case that they're going to take on. Luke Wilson is so impressed that he recommends her because of this mock case that they're debating in class, where I guess this guy wants to sue a sperm donor clinic because he wants visitation rights or something like that, and they've denied him. Elle suggests that when he jerks off, it's reckless abandonment or something.
Something like that, yeah. Basically, she wonders aloud that if he hasn't ever contacted every one night stand he's had to see if there's a kid, that every time he sort of cranks his yank, it could be considered reckless abandon, which was kind of weird, kind of gross. Let me just ask this question. Did anybody dust for Prince? Book him, Johnny. That's the man. They have his fingerprints and like his penis print.
We got a match.
Can you pick it out of a lineup, ma'am? It's like the mugshot shirt, and it's got like the height on it. Serious law case here, though. Oh man. Oh my God.
So after that, Ellie is walking down the hallway and she sees Vivian and Warner coming down the opposite way. So she stops in front of them and she yells, "Guess what? I got into the internship." And I guess they all got an internship. So they're going to be doing this together, working on a real case together. And she says to Warner, "Remember after winter formal, that 4 hours that we spent in the hot tub? This is so much better than that." And then like giggles and walks off. And Vivian is kind of like disgusted. And she like looks down at the crotch of Warner's pants and then looks back up at him and says, 4 hours? Ew. And she walks off. I just thought that was just a very awkward, weird interaction.
You know, I didn't notice that part until you just said that, but that also maybe subtly explains a lot about Warner and Vivian. But yeah, like, you know what though? This is a totally crappy move that Elle pulled, honestly, that you would just pull the pin on that grenade, throw it in this guy's pants, metaphorically, and just walk away laughing the whole time. Like, you're already killing it in law school. You're already killing it in life. You've just been stalking this guy. And like a half an hour ago when she went to the nail place, Paulette was like, "Why don't you just steal him back?" And that's what she was trying to do. She's gone to this law school to win him back, at which point she finds out this guy is engaged. And she goes now to purposely steal this guy away from a fiance, okay, stalk him nonstop, put herself in this close quarters now with him. I mean, like, she's earned this spot. That's fine, fair enough. But she just throws this grenade. Like, in any other movie, she kind of would be a bad guy. It's at some degree, right?
Like, is it that she wants to cause problems between those two? Is that what that was all about?
That's what it seems like there. Yeah, she's just being a complete dick to this guy. But I mean, I get that too. Where like, yeah, maybe I understand that he broke your heart and potentially cheated on him earlier in the movie too, if we go back in time. But, you know, two rights don't make a wrong, folks. And you got to stop somewhere. All right? That's all I'm saying.
And Vivian hasn't done anything. Like, she hasn't really done anything wrong.
Well, yeah, she's kind of been a dick, and she did burn her by, like, sending her...
Because the ex is showing up and, like, stalking them.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't think anybody in this movie has clean hands, you know? None of you people should be throwing stones, all right? You're all in glass houses, damn it.
After this, we go back to the beauty salon, and the UPS man comes up again, and he walks over directly to Stifler's mom and says, "I've got a package." And he stands there, and the package that he's holding is kind of like near his waist. So this is like a little bit of a joke of a...
It's a subtle penis joke.
Yeah,
yes.
Subtle penis joke.
Absolutely.
There's one in every movie. So anyways, she doesn't really say anything at all. She's just kind of just all a Twitter because she's just in love with him, and he walks away. And Elle is like, "Have you ever said anything to him?" And she's like, "No, I just don't know what to say." And Elle has some advice, a technique that she wants to show Stifler's mom here that's going to change her life.
Yes. 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 I love the scene.
And it's going to change the lives of many women to come who have watched this movie.
I love this. I love this scene that we're about to witness here.
Okay, I'm going to show you a little maneuver that my mother taught me in junior high. In my experience, it has a 98% success rate of getting a man's attention, and when used appropriately, it has an 83% rate of return on a dinner invitation.
Wow.
It's called the bend and snap. Watch this.
I loved this scene. I forgot all about this. And then as soon as this came back on, like, it's like, holy crap, here we go again. And yeah, so this is a little maneuver that Elle uses. It's called the bend and snap. And she walks out and this music starts playing. And I hadn't seen this in 20 years. And I honestly thought like a musical dance number was about to break out here.
It kind of is. There is some choreographed dance going on. It's not quite as in your face as like some of the stuff we've seen in Footloose and She's All That. But there's choreography here.
Yeah, kind of. And the whole point is she pretends that she drops something on the ground and she bends down and she snaps back up and then sort of does this little effeminate hand posting, and it's the bend and snap. And she starts doing it and encourages everybody to go out there, and all the ladies out there getting their hair done are out there, and they're all doing bend and snaps now.
They love it. They're dancing to it. Some of them look like the equivalent to some people that are really high on a church sermon. They're just loving it. They're just absolutely enjoying it.
It's just weird. Like everyone, she's just walking around and people are like, try it, you try it. And people get up and they've got curlers in their hair and they're like, bend and snap. And then everybody is like in a line in like a crossover between like the Thriller music video and like barber shop. And there's this guy too, and he's got a little pencil mustache and long hair, and he's doing the bend and snap with them too. And everyone is just in a line doing bend and snaps. And we just got to play you a part of the whole bend and snap here. This is probably the greatest moment in this bend and snap part. As they're all doing this one guy comes out at the end, and I love this guy. I love this man. Let's play this clip.
Oh my God, the bend and snap works every time.
I like that. Right out of the woodwork. Who is that?
I don't know. He must work at the salon, you know? Works every time. He's awesome. Yeah, and I love his little purse he's got, and his shirt's pretty kick-ass too. It's pretty cool. It's almost like he's like summoning some 90s like Michael Bolton vibes. That's what it kind of seems like. But with the purse. But yeah, it's just, I really appreciate the humor in this movie, that it's even though it is like a weird kind of stalkery movie, there is these, it's like weird, goofy, slapstick kind of comedy moments interjected in it. And this is definitely a reason why I liked it as a kid. I just remember laughing at this part. And then one part in the court later on, that was another, I think it's almost the same guy, it seemed like. It's hilarious. Since Elle has won the internship with a bunch of other people, part of this is there's a big murder case that apparently the professors picked up here, and they're going to be helping him out with this. So it's a celebrity. Her name is Brooke. I forget what her last name is, but she is like a weight loss guru, it seems like. And she was also apparently a Delta Nu sister at one point too. And Elle never went to school with her or anything like that, but she was like a class or two before her, and she took her yoga class somewhere. And so she knows her. And so she's really jazzed up to meet her and stuff. But it looks like this lady is also, it doesn't look good for her, we'll say. The circumstantial evidence is that she has been found allegedly over this dead body with blood all over her. And what she says is that she just found the guy, her husband, like that, dead. And then the pool guy and his daughter walked in and found her over the body. So it looks like she's saying she's innocent, but right now she looks really, really guilty. And the only catch is she won't tell the lawyers, or the only catch is she won't tell the law team what she was doing the day of the murder in question. And she says she has an alibi, but she won't tell them.
She's basically telling everyone, hey, you got to find another way to get me off. I'm not telling anyone where I was. And we find out that she was actually at an appointment getting liposuction. And she knows that would absolutely destroy her career if that actually comes out. Elle is now the only person that actually knows the truth. Now, I'm no lawyer, but if you have things that you don't want to get out, or like legal proceedings like that, especially if you're like a famous person, I'm pretty sure there's a very easy way to just inform the cops that you definitely like you have a solid alibi without it actually getting out to the immediate public. And by the way, the more important aspect of it is you're being accused of murder. So if the one option is to go to jail for murder versus sacrificing your career, like why would you go to jail for murder? Your career is ruined either way, really.
Yeah, that seems fair. I mean, either way, your life is over. I mean, you can be either still apparently rich and free, or you can be in jail and potentially broke, I guess.
I feel like most people would just be like, okay, bite the bullet and sacrifice their career. While all this has been going on, Elle and Vivian have, for some reason, just started being nice to each other, like for absolutely no reason whatsoever. And it slowly seems like Warner is kind of falling out of the fold a little bit. Stifler's mom, she has a third attempt here to try and win over this UPS guy when he shows up with an even bigger package this time. She attempts to do the bend and snap. She throws a pen on the floor and bends down, and when she lifts her head up to do the snap, she headbutts him and breaks his nose.
So now we're fast forwarding to the trial, and we're sort of mid-swing in the trial here, and it looks like the pool boy, I think his name's like Enrique or something, he shows up, and he's on the stand, and he's getting cross-examined here. He seems like a very snarky individual, we'll say.
He has a little bit of attitude.
Yeah, absolutely. And so they have a recess, and Elle sort of bumps into him in the hallway, and he's at a water fountain, and he's drinking some water. And she's not really happy with this guy. And she's kind of standing there just tapping her foot. And he turns around and he's just like, hey, don't tap your Prada shoes at me, lady. And as he's walking away, he goes, those are last season. And a light bulb goes off in Elle's head. She knows that, I can't remember how she phrases it, but basically she just assumes that this man is not who he says he is. Because I should have mentioned this before, but Enrique is alleging that he was having an affair with this lady, Brooke. And so Elle has a hunch that he is gay, and this is going to prove at least that he is lying.
Yeah. Because she says to her cohorts, only a gay person knows the name of designer shoes.
And the one lady, Brooke, says, you know what? He did buy a share tape and leave it in the pool house.
Kind of going back to what I mentioned earlier, that the like this movie is trying to like sort of dispel the stereotypes of blondes, and don't treat people like they're stereotypes, and and it's just like then it's like for a minute or two, like let's just take a break from that and just go all in on a stereotype or two.
That's very true. Yeah, that's very true. I never thought about that. They totally flipped the script there for a second,
Yeah.
right?
So anyways. Back in the trial, one of Luke Wilson, it's his turn to go up and question Enrique here in the cross-examination. He basically gives him the old speed question trick.
Yeah, it's like a fake out.
Yeah, like, do you have a mother? Yes. What color are your eyes? Blue. What's your husband's name? Chuck. And he's like, oh no, I said his name. And then, and everybody in the court is like, oh my God. So everybody is absolutely shocked out of their mind.
And I love that part too. He tries to save it and he goes, no, Chuck's just my friend. And in the back of the court, you hear, you bitch. The guy runs.
Yeah, Chuck stands up and he's offended and runs out of the room. That is actually pretty funny.
This is like a Leslie Nielsen movie.
You think that Chuck would be in on this lie, though? Yeah,
right. I mean, like this guy, your husband or boyfriend's up there just like committing perjury. So you think, yeah, you're in this at some level, I guess. I don't know. So that's already causing some reasonable doubt on that side of the argument, at least. Anyways, you could say, right? So we have a break from court that day because that's where we're ending it for now. Elle goes back to the law office that night and they're working on stuff. And her professor comes up to her and basically kind of gives her the legal Weinstein. He just basically says, if you want this job, like you kind of know what to do here. And he puts his hand on Elle and she takes the hands off and she's just like, yeah, get wrecked, bud. I don't think so. This is not happening. And leaves. But it's not, but unfortunately, Vivian kind of hears the wrong part of this conversation, and she thinks that Elle actually is a bad person and is manipulating everybody just so she can get ahead. And she's the kind of person apparently who would just sleep with this old dude.
So now Elle, rightfully so, she is completely appalled, upset. She just kind of wants to quit now. She wants to quit Harvard and throw all this away and just go back to her Delta new life. Luke Wilson attempts to convince her to stay, but she still runs off. And she goes to the nail salon. Like, that's where she goes every single time she's upset in this movie. And she's complaining to Stifler's mom about her situation and says that she wants to go back to sorority life. But her other professor, she just happens to be getting her nails done because apparently she must have been having a bad day too. So she's there getting her nails done and she whips around in the chair to reveal that she's been listening to this the whole time. And she's like, if you're going to let one stupid prick get in the way of your dreams, then you're just not the person that I thought you were.
Well, yeah, she's lit a fire under her butt to be like, you know what? I'm not done. We ain't throwing in the towel. We're going at them. But that's not before it looks like Luke Wilson and Vivian are visiting Brooke in jail here, and they're behind the glass. And Luke is kind of imploring this lady, Brooke. He's just saying, look, can you just tell us what's going on for real here? And the lady's like, I'm not doing it. And they're just like, look, Elle quit. And so she's not part of the team anymore. So she can't help you. Like, we don't really know what to do. Because apparently Elle is the only person that can get her out of this hot water. And Luke explains that the professor hit on her and Vivian's standing there and she's like, oh, I'm a dick. I didn't know that, right? So basically everyone gets together and they figure out a way that they can sort of right this wrong. So the next day, we cut back to the court proceedings here. It looks like Brooke walks in, and Luke Wilson, Vivian, and the weird, creepy professor are sitting there. And Brooke comes up and she basically says to this guy, you're fired. And the professor guy's like, well, why? He's like, I know you tried to hit on Elle. I'm done. And he's like, well, what are you going to do? Well, you can't represent yourself. And she goes, no, I've got new representation. And sure enough, who walks in but pretty in pink herself, Elle Woods. And so the whole court is just like, what the heck is going on here? And basically everyone goes up to the bench. And this is where I was like, there is no way in hell this lady can defend this person because she doesn't have a law license or degree or anything, right? That's what I thought, apparently. But apparently there's some obscure criminal code in here that is letting a law student be representation on behalf of a defendant. So she is allowed to be the lawyer.
In a murder trial.
Yes, exactly. This girl is her first time. She's not even a lawyer yet. She hasn't graduated. She's in first year law school. She didn't know what habeas corpus was. She didn't know what any of this stuff is. And this is who you're going to let defend you. But it's a movie, so this is what's happening. Play ball, right? So, let's see what. So basically everybody agrees to this except for the professor himself. But you know what? It's tough cookies, Alex. You're out. It looks like Elle just decides she's going to call up the daughter who witnessed Brooke, or at least says she witnessed Brooke standing over her father's body. So Elle just kind of sits there and she doesn't have anything prepared, which is, so if she knew that she was going to be her lawyer or they talked about this, you think she would have come in with at least some sort of question? Maybe they didn't have enough time. Maybe it was like 10 minutes before. She was just taking a leak and she's like, just think of something to ask her. And she's like, hold on a second. I don't know.
Apparently they're just winging this.
Yeah. She's just up there throwing questions at this person randomly. I don't see how this is prosecution, but it's whatever, So Elle is kind of walking her through her steps again. And she's asking all these questions, So can you explain your day? What were you doing? You heard a gunshot when you were in the shower. And she says, yeah. And the lady says, what else were you doing that day? And so basically the girl says, I was getting a perm done. And again, another light bulb goes off in Elle Wood's head because she's just that awesome. And she asks this girl, and she says, so how many perms have you say you've had in your life? And this girl's like, I've gotten one like every whatever it is. I don't know how long you get perms, but like she's had like 40 perms in her life. So she's had a lot of perms apparently. And I don't know why this lady has a perm because she looks somewhere between a poodle and like Bob Ross on the stand here. But if that's your hair, you rock it. That's no problem. So Elle says to her, you got a perm and then you went in the shower. That's correct. That's what I'm understanding here. And this lady said, yeah, she knows. And so basically she paints her in this corner, which I didn't know this at any point in my life. But I guess if you get a perm, you're not supposed to get your hair wet for whatever it is, 24 hours or 48 hours.
I only know that because I remember my grandmother wearing I haven't seen one of these in a while, but like kind of like it looked like a cellophane cover for your hair when you go outside in the rain.
The little shower caps. That's right. And basically, this girl lied. That's what we've come to determine here. This lady she's a GD liar.
It was funny that she caught her lying about the perm. And that was enough to fluster her up to just spill the beans on everything. That she actually wanted to kill Brooks. She wanted to kill the mother-in-law because it made her sick that her 80-year-old father married this 25-year-old.
So it's sort of like in A Few Good Men, at the end when Tom Cruise is like grilling Jack Nicholson, he's like, you did this, you put that order in, you did that. And he's like, you want the truth? You can't handle the truth. And then that's kind of what this is. It seems like it's a lot of law movies. It's sort of cliche to do. According
to movies, that's how every trial ends.
That's right. You just grill the person up on the stand, berate them endlessly until eventually they confess. And at no point does the other person's side just object or interject or anything.
I don't even think we saw any part of the prosecution. There was absolutely no arguing back and forth between the lawyers at all or on anything.
It's weird that after this lady confesses, the judge immediately just bangs a gavel and he's like, all right, she's guilty. Take her away.
No trial for her.
Yeah, is that how that works? Was it just like someone yelled? Like if someone stood up and was like, I did it. And they're like, boom, confess, take him away. Like, is that how that works? There's got to be more to that, I guess. I don't know.
That's completely unconstitutional.
I really don't know how this works.
She's there as a witness. So she's going to go to jail and be formally charged and arraigned, and then she gets her own trial for being charged for murder. Yeah.
Start all over again. Yeah, maybe that's what happens here. That's right, because then Brooke would have to be called in as another witness, right?
Oh, I'm 100% that's what happens.
So yeah, you're right there. But you know what? It doesn't matter because we're just going to sort of flash forward into the future. And it's graduation day now.
Yeah, and Elle has been nominated to give the speech. It's your every movie generic motivational speech. Believe in yourself, have faith in yourself. Don't let people bring you down. Congratulations, class of 2004. Is that what that said? Was this really supposed to be 3 years?
Yeah. They've gone 3 years ahead now in Harvard. She's been to Harvard for 3 years and is a valedictorian. This lady is just amazing.
The movie ends with the same song that it started with. It's now a perfect day again.
And we get a sort of a play out here.
We get a text play out.
That's right. That's right. Vivian apparently dumped Warner. Warner graduated without honors, without a girlfriend, without any job offers, which doesn't make any sense because he's still an elite, it seems like, right? If his family's still politically connected.
You would think that he probably wouldn't have graduated.
I guess so. You know what I thought was weird too? It didn't seem like he was he was sitting with the defense at any of the trial. He wasn't sitting there at the table with them, right? He was supposed to be part of that group and he's not there. I don't know.
It's weird because he was the antagonist, really.
Yeah.
For the first half or majority of the movie. And then just all of a sudden, Vivian and Elle became friends. And it's like he kind of just dropped out of the movie.
They just wiped him off the screen. They're like, see you later, loser.
Yeah.
But it doesn't even matter because, Paulette, she's getting married to the UPS guy and they're having a kid and they're going to name their daughter Elle.
They're going to name their daughter after Elle. The one who taught her the bend and snap, if it wasn't for that.
That's right. And Luke Wilson is dating Elle Woods and he is going to propose to her. That's what they let you know. So I guess we're at the end of the movie now. So maybe you want to give your thoughts first, and then I'll give some thoughts.
One of my first takeaways is that I know what the bend and snap is now. I've seen this reference in pop culture in so many different ways. Friends, just people have said it. Like, why don't you do a bend and snap? And I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about. They're like, oh, you've never seen Legally Blonde? So I get that now. That is pretty funny. It's almost like a viral, maybe not a viral video, but it's like a viral trend thing. Bend and
sort of a cultural meme, we'll say.
This movie was actually pretty fun to watch. I think it's bad in the sense that it's it's kind of fluffy and ridiculous. The story doesn't really make a whole lot of sense if you analyze it, but it's fun. Yeah,
it's this is definitely a fun movie, and watching again, all of the stuff came flooding back. I'm like, oh yeah, like this was definitely a big part of my childhood, at least part of it, and it is a fun movie, but at the same time too, watching this now again, seriously, Elle is kind of a sociopath there, and she's a stalker.
Yes, that's creepy.
Yeah, that's what I mean, and it's also, I felt like it was really hard, in some sense, to feel bad for this girl.
Right.
Because this douchebag boyfriend broke up with her because it's like She drives a Porsche around. She lives in Beverly Hills. Her parents can just pay for her to go to Harvard, like no problem. She just picks up legalese and all kinds of law, like intricate law policies that you would need to know to pass an LSAT exam at the drop of a hat. She's apparently a beauty queen. She's been the valedictorian now. She's like the head of her sorority. She is winning law cases. Like at no point in this movie. This is almost again like a Crossroads movie, except there was no pregnant girl. It's just like nothing is wrong with this girl. Like this song, The Perfect Day, it's this girl, it's her day every day. It doesn't even matter if her day kind of sucks. Her day is still like an A-.
I can't help but think about what you said too, but the creepy stalking stuff. Like that's glossed over pretty hard in this.
Yeah, like nobody in this movie is perfect. That's for sure. There's a lot of people doing bad stuff and just mean stuff to each other, manipulating people and whatever. But like, yeah, it's really hard to sort of get behind Elle Woods a bit too. I mean, you do, because she is a likable person, and they definitely make her that. Like, she's very upbeat, very happy, very positive. She's an optimist. Dresses great, looks great, the whole 9 yards.
How many other people has she stalked?
Yeah, right. And it's just like, yeah, okay, you dated this guy for a while, and I get it, and you think that, you guys were going to get engaged or whatever. It's like, okay, it didn't work out. You just, you sulk for a bit and you move on with your life. You start going to gym afterwards. You hit whatever. You improve yourself. You shouldn't just like stalk somebody, and then also just try to go and break up a marriage. That seems like a bad thing, right? Like, what are you doing?
Would you ever, say, if you were accused of murder, would you ever want to be represented by a lawyer that only became a lawyer to win back a guy that dumped her?
When you put it like that, I get where you're going. If that was your only motivation, yeah, it's an interesting take. I definitely would not have had her for a lawyer. It's almost like Lionel Hutz or something. You're like, there's so many red flags here. You cannot be my lawyer. I'm sorry. That's well, is she bright though? Because she's apparently really smart. She's a valedictorian of Harvard Law. How does that make sense?
I wish that we would have seen some kind of evolution to her character as far as becoming this great thing. Like you said, every day is just the perfect day. She's just I'm going to be a Harvard Law graduate, and boom, I'm a Harvard Law graduate. There's nothing really that happens along the way. You barely even see her in class. There's only 3 segments that we actually saw her do something that made her look smart.
Yeah, that's true. Well, she's asking about sperm samples and whatever.
Yeah.
She's apparently got a lot of expertise in that area. Good at deducing clues out of that. I don't know. Yeah, it's, you know what though? This was a fun movie. It always will be a fun movie, I think. If you critically analyze this, there's, again, just aside from legal problems, there's just a lot of things that's what the hell is going on in this movie and people's motivations. They're a little sketchy, I think, but it's weird that I was 12 watching this. It's not weird. I don't know. I like it though.
Yeah, this isn't too bad. I'd watch something else like this.
Yeah, maybe we'll have to find something cool like this. Before we go, we'll let you know again, always, please check us out on our Instagram. It's at Good Times Bad Movies Podcast. We have a YouTube page where we're uploading videos and all kinds of clips and stuff like that all the time. So check that out too. Give us a subscribe there. You can also find us on Spotify, iTunes, and Google Podcasts. And we'll leave you with probably one of the best highlights of this movie here, I think.
Oh my God, the bend and snap works every time.